Greetings and welcome to the Culture Ward, where we dissect and dismember pop culture in all its forms. Before we begin, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and help us grow the channel. It really means a lot to us. And don't forget to like and share the video if you enjoy the content. Now let's get into it. In 2013, with the release of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, the DC Extended Universe officially kicked off. This was DC's answer to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which was growing huge by that point, with the first Avengers movie having released the previous year to over $1 billion at the box office. Following Man of Steel, which was a moderate box office success, there was Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, David Ayers' Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Justice League, and Aquaman, all box office successes, with Aquaman actually breaking the $1 billion barrier. However, beginning around 2020, the DCEU saw a steady decline in popularity, with nearly every release since then being a box office disappointment, with some pretty awful films such as Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 1984, Black Adam, The Flash, and Blue Beetle. However, mixed in with the garbage was one surprise treat: James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, which released in 2021. James Gunn had been fired from Marvel for decade-old tweets and was thus hired by DC to helm the sequel to 2016 Suicide Squad. While the movie was a failure at the box office, due in large part to the decision to release it simultaneously on HBO MAX, it was well received by critics and fans alike, including yours truly. I was amazed at how much I enjoyed it. The film, much like its predecessor, follows a group of mercenaries and vigilantes, supervillains or anti-heroes, who are recruited by a secret government agency to conduct black ops missions in exchange for clemency or reduced prison sentences. In both films, while there are a couple of moderately well-known characters such as Harley Quinn, most of the characters are deep comic cuts, with names like Captain Boomerang, Killer Croc, King Shark, Ratcatcher, and Weasel. At any rate, in the first movie, we're introduced to the secret government agency led by the vicious and devious Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. She recruits her team of supervillains from Belle Reve Prison to attack and stop an evil supernatural entity known as the Enchantress. The team included Deadshot, played by Will Smith, Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie.
What was that? Sorry. The voices. Kidding. That's not what they really said.
And Rick Flag, played by Joel Kinnaman. The team members that managed to survive the mission were given reduced prison sentences in return for their work. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad is meant to be a direct sequel to the previous movie, with some returning cast, including Viola Davis, Margot Robbie, and Joel Kinnaman, all playing their same roles. The plot is basically the same. Amanda Waller's Black Ops team recruits her supervillains from Belle Reve Prison for a top-secret off-the-books operation, this time called Operation Starfish.
Starfish is a slang term for a butthole. Think there's any connection?
No.
Which is literally a giant alien starfish monster that they have to destroy. The team contains Harley Quinn and Rick Flag, as it did in the first movie, but also introduces Peacemaker, played by John Cena, who's like a deranged Captain America. He fights for peace and doesn't care how many men, women, and children he has to kill to get it. It's kind of his tagline.
There's peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it.
Now, replacing Will Smith's Deadshot from the first movie is ostensibly the lead character in this one, Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba. Basically the same character. Spoiler alert, near the end of the movie, Bloodsport appears to kill Peacemaker in a duel.
Smaller bullets.
But a post-credit scene hints at his survival. So James Gunn's movie was unexpectedly good. The premise, the characters, the action and violence are all ridiculous and over the top, but perfectly suited to James Gunn's style. He brings these silly, superpowered heroes to life with emotional depth and his characteristic irreverent humor. Margot Robbie and Idris Elba both committed to their roles and turned in great performances, but most surprisingly was John Cena, who delivered a nuanced and earnest performance as the Djangoistic killer. So much so that James Gunn decided to create a spin-off series featuring this character. And thus in 2022, the first season of Peacemaker premiered on HBO MAX, with John Cena returning as the titular character. Written by James Gunn, with him also directing several of the episodes, it followed the events of the Suicide Squad movie and ran for 8 episodes. Warning, some spoilers ahead. So the show picks up about 5 months after the end of the Suicide Squad, with Peacemaker, Chris Smith, being released from the hospital where he has been since Suicide Squad, recovering from a gunshot wound and having a building fall on him. Now he's concerned that he's going to be taken back to prison since he never finished his sentence, but no one seems to notice that he's being released. Relieved, he goes home. However, once he gets to his house, he's ambushed by a Black Ops team led by the ruthless mercenary Clemson Mern, played by Chukwudi Awuji. He's then forced to join their team as a contract killer for their mission, Operation Butterfly. After meeting the team and being briefed on the mission, Peacemaker hooks up with some random girl from the bar. However, after they have relations, she attacks him, trying to kill him, and she is obviously not human. He manages to kill her with a sonic boom from one of the powered helmets designed and built by his father, the white supremacist former supervillain White Dragon, played incidentally by Robert Patrick, who you may recognize as the T-1000 from Terminator 2. But the sonic boom causes massive destruction, which alerts the authorities. Peacemaker thus has to escape the apartment building while police storm the area. He manages to just barely escape with the help of his teammates Amelia Harcourt and Leota Adebayo, but the dedicated and relentless detective Sophie Song is henceforth on the case, which, after finding the remains of the girl's body, becomes a murder investigation. It turns out that the murderous booty call was one of the butterflies that they are hunting, and they appear to be humanoid creatures with near superhuman strength and reflexes. Apparently, Peacemaker had left his mission file laying around after he had sex with the butterfly, and she determined that he was on a team hunting other butterflies, thus why she tried to kill him. In order to keep Peacemaker's presence at the crime scene secret, back at headquarters, the resourceful yet impulsive Economos switches the car's registration, along with Peacemaker's fingerprints, with Augie Smith, Peacemaker's former supervillain father, though this fact is, for the time being, concealed from Peacemaker. We are then introduced to Peacemaker's self-professed best friend, Vigilante, who happens to be a masked vigilante that apparently idolizes Peacemaker. We later find out that Vigilante is Adrian Chase, the little brother of one of Peacemaker's former friends. He's basically a psychopath with a lot of heart, and he grew to be my favorite character in the show. Fun side note, the actor playing Vigilante, Freddie Stroma, had previously played Cormac McLagan in the Harry Potter films. Remember this guy?
Keepers need to be quick, agile. I like my chances. Say, think you could introduce me to your friend Granger? Wouldn't mind getting on a first-name basis, know what I mean?
It's really weird. Anyway, the first assignment for Peacemaker and the team is to take out Senator Goff, who is allegedly a butterfly, although Mern and the team have thus far refused to tell Peacemaker exactly what the hell a butterfly even is, and why they are a danger in the first place. At this point, Mern floats the idea that Peacemaker may have to kill the entire family, Goff, his wife, and their 2 children if it turns out they're all butterflies. Peacemaker is reminded of his oath to maintain peace regardless of how many men, women, and children he has to kill to get it, but he still exhibits some trepidation about killing kids, at least based solely on the word of Mern, who says they're bad.
We don't know yet whether or not his wife and children are butterflies. If so, you'll have to kill all of them.
So what is it, just trust us and shoot kids? Come on, man, look how adorable that one is.
The other one, not so much.
I thought you loved peace with all your heart, no matter how many men, women, and children you needed to kill to get it.
Indeed, while they're conducting surveillance on the senator's house, the team observes the whole family acting strange before sitting down to eat some sort of honey-like goo with what appears to be a proboscis coming out of their mouths. And Mern orders Peacemaker to immediately kill the whole family because he says they're all butterflies, based on that information. Well, Peacemaker is unable to pull the trigger. Not only has he still not been advised what butterflies are and why he needs to kill them, but he actually seems to be developing a conscience that he didn't have before. Luckily for the team, Vigilante had followed the team and had been hiding in the bushes, so he steps in, he takes the gun from Peacemaker, and then proceeds to gleefully kill the wife and both kids. Before he can finish off Senator Goff, though, one of the senator's bodyguards, a diminutive superhero known as Judo Master, attacks the team, beating them all into submission. Peacemaker and Vigilante are captured and taken into Senator Goff's house, where Goff attempts to get information from Peacemaker, by torturing Vigilante. And Peacemaker steadfastly refuses to give up any information, much to Vigilante's dismay.
Does that change your mind? Sorry, pal. Not for sale. What? Give it all you got! No.
Myrn and the rest of the team manage to create an explosion, freeing Peacemaker and allowing him to dispatch Goff and set Vigilante free. After Goff dies, they see a large butterfly-like insect emerging from the dead senator's brain, and it becomes clear that the butterflies are alien insects that take over the bodies of people.
Oh, Project Butterfly.
While Harcourt, Myrn, and Abidayo were helping to rescue Peacemaker and Vigilante, Economos is forced to prevent Judo Master from escaping. He thus has his big moment of crashing the van into the car Judo Master is driving, severely injuring him and taking him captive. The following day, when Peacemaker goes to his father's home to get another power helmet, he finds out that his father has been arrested and figures out that his team was responsible for it. Angry with the team, he then decides to go visit his father in prison to let him know that he, Peacemaker, had nothing to do with it. But his father doesn't care. He verbally berates Peacemaker, tells him he never liked him, and threatens to tell the cops about their secret mission. Adebayo was sent to try and prevent Peacemaker from seeing his father, but she fails. However, she takes the initiative to try to convince Vigilante to kill Peacemaker's father. Vigilante, as Adrian Chase, thus purposely gets himself arrested and tries to bait Augie Smith into a fight while inside the jail. Augie figures out what he's trying to do though and assumes that his son sent Adrian to kill him. Thus Augie doubles down on his attempts to expose Peacemaker and his team. We later find out that Peacemaker didn't kill the butterfly that came out of Goff's head like he assured his team that he did, but instead he put it in a jar and took it home, still trying to get answers about what they are and what they're planning. Around this time, we also find out that Myrn is actually a butterfly himself. So the team next has to infiltrate a bottling plant to try and find out where the butterflies are getting their supply of honey goo, which is what they require to survive on this planet. They find out when they get there the entire plant is run by butterfly people, and they manage to defeat them all, including a particularly brutal takedown of a butterfly-controlled silverback gorilla with a chainsaw. The mission is actually a bonding moment for the whole team. That night, Peacemaker invites Adebayo to his house for a drink, because he now considers her to be a friend. However, unbeknownst to him and the rest of the team, Adebayo was actually recommended for the job by Amanda Waller herself to be her insider, because Waller is actually her mother. One of the secret tasks she gave Adebayo was to plant a fake diary inside Peacemaker's house. Now, while she feels conflicted between her loyalty to her mother and her newfound respect for and acceptance by her new teammates, especially Peacemaker, she nevertheless relents and plants the diary, betraying his trust. Later that night, Adebayo accidentally discovers that Myrn is the butterfly. She's then shocked to discover that both Harcourt and Economos already know. Myrn explains that his race arrived on Earth after their planet was destroyed and just wanted to live out their lives in peace. However, the leader of the butterflies, the one that previously inhabited Senator Goff, which we now just refer to as Goff, decided to take over the world, inhabiting people in power to achieve their objectives. Myrn was a dissenter and has thus been working to stop the butterflies. Detective Song, meanwhile, has figured out that Augie's prints don't match the ones from the crime scene and thus releases Augie and gets an arrest warrant for Peacemaker instead. When Augie is released, he plans to kill Peacemaker himself.
See you soon, bitch. Or as they say in your language, ching chong chickadee chopsticks.
Detective Song and a team of officers surround Peacemaker's trailer to arrest him. He and Vigilante manage to escape from inside the trailer, but while they're trying to evade the cops, Vigilante accidentally breaks the jar with Goff in it, setting her free. She immediately takes over Detective Song's body, while Peacemaker and Vigilante escape. Meanwhile, officers find the fake diary, which is given to the police chief, who is a fake police chief placed in the department by Myrn, who then locks it away in his desk to keep it from being discovered. Song then sets out to call in an army of butterflies, and they take over the entire police station, inhabiting all of the officers, including the fake police chief, and their goal is now to stop Peacemaker's team. One of the first things they do is to hold a press conference revealing the fake diary, which paints Peacemaker as a madman who was murdering innocent people because he thought they were possessed by aliens. Peacemaker is thus being hunted by every law enforcement office in the country, a plot point that admittedly doesn't really go anywhere, it's just there. The Peacemaker finds out that Adebayo is the one who planted the diary and feels betrayed, but the team still has to work together to complete their mission.
I know that you're mad, but from the bottom of my heart, I really am sorry. I'm just trying to...
They figured out that the butterflies were getting their supply of nectar from a single source, a giant space cow thing that's being held in a barn out in the country. However, after Myrn is tracked down and killed by the butterfly police, the team almost lose hope. They know that the butterflies will know their plans to kill the space cow, and they'll try to move the cow to an unknown location, thus ruining any chance of them completing their mission. At the same time, Augie Smith, in his White Dragon supersuit, and his army of white supremacists track Peacemaker down and try to kill him. Augie confronts his son, but before he can kill him, Vigilante attacks Augie, damaging his supersuit, allowing Peacemaker to get the upper hand. Augie continues to berate his son, triggering Peacemaker to kill him, something he says he should have done a long time ago. Finally, the team reconnects and decides they still have to try and kill the space cow, even though Myrn is gone. Thus, they travel to the country and have a final standoff with the butterflies, ultimately killing the cow and most of the butterflies, although Peacemaker spares the life of Goff, who is allowed to fly away. And that's basically the story of Peacemaker Season 1. I really enjoyed this show. I was shocked by how much I liked the Suicide Squad, first of all. And this show, it really worked well. John Cena actually turns in a great performance. It's pretty non-stop comedy with some pretty absurdist stuff in there, but it's also laced with the typical James Gunn emotional beats. The undercurrent of the show was Peacemaker's journey of self-discovery. Throughout the season, we find out that he was trained to be a killer by his abusive father from the time he was a child. Augie used to make Peacemaker and his brother Keith fight each other for sport, and one day there was an incident where Keith had a seizure during the fight and died. Augie blamed Peacemaker for it, and Peacemaker spent the rest of his life feeling guilty for the death of his older brother, who he admired. Through the events of the show, Peacemaker realizes he was not responsible and that his father was actually a bad guy. In so doing, Peacemaker experienced emotional growth as part of the team and developed a conscience. It was all filtered through James Gunn jokes and gags, but it still managed to have emotional weight, and overall, the season was satisfying and, frankly, thoroughly enjoyable. The script was tight, the action was almost always fun, albeit occasionally over the top, and pacing was just about perfect. While the show did take its time developing the characters and their relationships, it never dragged, and there never seemed to be superfluous shit. There was some heavy-handed social and political messaging spread throughout, but it was kind of offset by a few moments where PC culture was lampooned. I did roll my eyes a few times at the more blatant wokeisms, but it moved past them quick enough that I could basically ignore it. Everyone did a great job. Like I said, John Cena was perfect as Peacemaker, being able to deliver absurd, asinine comments in a perfect deadpan. Chukwudi Iwuji was intense and committed. Even Adebayo, the gay, overweight, diverse nepotism hire, turned out to be funny, sympathetic, and endearing. But as I've already stated, Freddie Stroma's Vigilante stole pretty much every scene he was in. A perfect blend of gleeful psychopathic killer and compliant, eager-to-please comic relief. And James Gunn's wife was in the show, and she did fine. I mean, for most of the show, she was just an emotionally cut-off bitch, but she did display a hint of compassion, and she gradually became more likable as the show went on. Steve Agee's Economos was likewise a blast, being the reluctant and unexpected badass on multiple occasions. Anyway, Season 1 aired in 2022. We haven't really heard or seen anything about Peacemaker since then. While James Gunn had said as early as 2022 that Season 2 was going to happen, Discovery's merger with Warner Brothers later that year, followed by David Zaslav's announcement that the DC Universe would be revamped, kind of put the show on hold. Once James Gunn was appointed new co-CEO of DC Studios, he stated that Peacemaker Season 2 would be his second project after Superman, which premiered last month, helping to launch the newly revamped DCEU. According to Gunn, the new season will address the change from the DCEU to the DCU continuity, and Season 1 was going to be mostly considered canon. The season was allegedly filmed simultaneously with the filming of Superman, which meant that James Gunn was not able to direct all the episodes, although he is credited as writer of the entire season. Season 2 is set to premiere August 21st, and in a surprise move, they announced recently that Superman would also be available to stream, albeit at premium video-on-demand prices, this week in advance of the Season 2 premiere, despite the fact that it only just hit theaters on July 11th. James Gunn has explained that he wants everyone to see Superman before Peacemaker, since Peacemaker picks up right where Superman leaves off and goes about setting up the DCEU going forward. So it's important to him, I guess, that people are able to see Superman even if they can't get to the theaters to do it. It looks like most of the original cast is returning, including Freddie Stroma as Vigilante, thank God, and will also feature some appearances from characters that were introduced in Superman, like Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern and Sean Gunn's Maxwell Lord. Michael Rooker will also be appearing in a new original role, and he rarely disappoints. Early access reviews are already in for the show, and they are stellar. At one point, the Rotten Tomatoes score was sitting at 100%, but has since dropped slightly to 97%, with a Metacritic score of 78. Now, both of these numbers are higher than Season 1, which had 93% and 70% respectively. However, this is Access Media scores, so I won't be putting too much faith in those. These are the same people that rated the Thunderbolts higher than Guardians of the Galaxy Volumes 2 and 3. I'll reserve judgment until I see it. Once again, it premieres this week, Thursday, August 21st. And once again, surprisingly, I am cautiously optimistic. Fingers crossed that this will be as enjoyable as the first season, or at least not completely disappointing. What about you? Are you excited for Peacemaker Season 2? What did you think of the first season? Let us know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Bye for now. We hope to see you next time in the Culture Ward.